Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hi! Welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
And Becky, the guest edition.
Today, we have Tamara Green on the show. Tamara is a spiritual mentor for those ready to step into their true sovereignty. Having grown up in a strict cult-like religious environment, she knows firsthand what it takes to break free from conditioning and reclaim personal truth. With a raw, no-fluff approach, she supports people unraveling inherited beliefs, trusting their own wisdom, and to be able to walk through their unique spiritual path with clarity and courage. Through her mentorship, writing, and teaching, she challenges the rules, embraces the world unknown, and helps others do the same. And that's what we talk about in this episode, isn't it?
Sums it up nicely, doesn't it?
This episode is all about just claiming that inner power, something that me and you talk about all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just like really, really emphasizing that you have the power, you are in control, you don't need anybody else externally to tell you what to do, to make you feel safe. You don't need their validation. It's all about building up the ability to have that trust and inner safety, knowing that you've got your own back, girls.
Yeah, hey, I like it, girl.
We hope you enjoy the show. Today we have on the show Tamara Green. Tamara, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tash and Becky. Thanks for having me.
Oh, so lovely to have you here. So, before we get started, could you just tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Yeah, cool. So my biggest passion is working with people, either in groups or one-on-one, and around their journey to internal sovereignty. And that looks different for everybody. It might be mentorship, it might be rites of passage, and there's other ways to sort of access that internal wisdom and calling. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm on the planet to do. It's the thing I love to do the most.
Oh, that's amazing. And so can you tell people, just in case they don't know, so some people that are listening to the podcast are kind of new into this world. Can you tell people what internal sovereignty actually means, what that is?
Yeah, it's a two words coined together that I love. And sometimes when I say it, I do get that, what do you mean? And for me, internal sovereignty means not outsourcing your truth to anyone else or anything else, whether that's an organization or a belief system or a guru or whatever it might be. There's many, many ways we can outsource our truth. And for me, it's bringing that back here. My truth is mine. I know it. I have an intimate relationship with it, and I'm prepared to back it.
Yes.
Wow.
I love that.
The ultimate empowerment there, right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is what you're all about, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and me. But
yeah, but with the work that I do, like,
I like to empower too.
Yeah. But we were just saying before we hit record, like Tamara and I, we both do the same work, but just in a completely different way. And I just find it fascinating to find different ways of doing the same thing. And so many people are doing it. And you know, just because I'm a hypnotherapist and I love, you know, using hypnosis and hypnotherapy, I also love trying other things as well. And I'm just so interested to get into the shamanistic kind of side of things because it's something that I've been drawn to. But before we get there, let's reel it back in. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are now and how you got to doing what you're doing? Because I love, like you said, you're now doing what you feel like you came onto this planet to do, and I feel like I'm doing the same, and it is just the best feeling when you can say like, oh, I know what my purpose is, I know what I'm doing, and you just like, the feeling is just like no other. But I know for me, it was a journey to get to where I am now. So I'm imagining you probably have a journey and like a backstory, and I'd love, like, if you're happy for you to share that with us.
Yeah, just as you started that question, I was thinking, well, it's been a long and winding road to get to this point. And I guess the place to start is my childhood was inside a fairly high control religion bordering on cult, and the way that my family in particular administered those belief systems was with a degree of violence. So there was, a kind of a lot of coercion and control in what we were supposed to as children believe, and we were told what to believe. We were told what truth is. And so I left that religion at just as I turned 18, and I was disfellowshipped or excommunicated, which meant a complete loss of the only community or village that I'd ever known. And so I
Yeah.
launched out into the world at 18 without a full sense of who I am and what I believe and what's true for me and what matters to me, because it had been force fed. And then when I rejected it, I didn't have anything yet to replace it with. So the coming kind of years after that were about kind of working out, well, what's true for me? What do I believe in? And what's my concept of a higher power, or, anything else? Like, I didn't know. And in the absence of knowing what was mine, I just kind of stayed neutral for a long time on conversations about God or spirituality. I was just neutral because I didn't really know what was mine.
Mm.
So I guess at about 21, I just started sort of asking questions, like seeking, I guess is the word I would use now. And I ended up with a counselor just to start going. I was in a relationship and I was trying to understand myself in relationship. So that was the beginning of asking questions, like, who am I and what's going on? How does the world work? And it's just never really stopped. I just turned 51. So that's 30 years of fairly consistent questioning and seeking and following pathways and trails and being in experiences, and to try and to sort of work it all out. And along the way, I realized that I could then work with others. And, once you've walked a path, you can kind of, it's almost like it's the difference between sort of mentoring and coaching for me, because I call it mentorship. It's not showing someone what to do, but it's going, hey, I've just walked this path. I'll like hold my lantern a little bit higher so you can maybe see how it is for you as well. And so that's kind of that's the very short version. In the middle of all of that, there's rites of passage and vision quest and all sorts of experiences, plant medicine, therapy. There's all sorts of things that have all just, I guess, merged and come through my filter now when I work with clients. Is everything I've ever done then is now kind of available for me to share with other people.
Yeah. And I love that, and that's how I work as well. I have gone through the experiences that I've gone through, and I'm like, well, I've done it. I've been there. I see you, and now I can show you what I've done. And I'm not saying that's the right way, but here's what I did, here's what worked, here's what didn't. How about try this? And again, it's all about empowering the person to, like, don't even do what I do, trust what you do. And that's what I like to do. Like, I like to give them the tools and help them to be able to then just trust themselves and know that all the answers are within them. And obviously, I do that through hypnotherapy and kind of like regression, childhood healing, trauma, and all of that. But so you said a couple of times through rites of passage. Could you tell us what that is? Because I don't know what that is. Is this linked to the shamanistic kind of side of things?
Well, yeah. So rites of passage are experiences. I mean, a lot of the original Indigenous and Earth-based cultures all had rites of passage, and they've been lost over the years, coming into kind of the Western civilization and religion and what have you. So they were always part of human development and moving through stages of life, from teenagehood into adulthood, or from maiden into mother, or all of those phase changes were marked with ceremony and ritual, and we lost a lot of that. And so now the way the world is, we have access to some of that stuff again. People are teaching it and holding those sorts of spaces. They're powerful. They're really powerful. And it's, I think it can be a leap for kind of a Western or colonized mind to see value in ritual and to see it as real, something that's actually very real, and the impacts it can have on the stage of development that you're at. And so one of the most powerful rites of passage I've been a part of is I did a vision quest nearly 5 years ago. And that involves being out in the wilderness alone with very minimal supplies. You're not sort of in full camping comfort, and you don't have anything there with you to distract you. So they call it a fast from all distractions for 96 hours. So no journaling or musical instruments or books or anything like that. And basically you're in this space where it's just you and whatever you believe is greater than you, and you're sitting on the earth. That's it. There's no teachings, there's no rule book, there's no dogma, there's no one telling you what your experience is going to be like. Your experience is yours, and what you draw from it is yours. So it's a very sovereign experience in my experience. Not all Vision Quest lineages are the same. I'm specifically talking about the one that I quested in, but that the purity of that experience and how well it's protected by the people who hold that experience. There's a really strong commitment to making sure that no one implants you with their opinion of your process or their advice. It's really very much like, well, what was it for you? And that was really powerful for me.
And so do you just I'm assuming you do that with a group of people, and it's led.
Yes, exactly.
But not led, yeah.
Yeah, it's led. So there's days before and after the actual quest. So there's, in the days beforehand, there's talks and things to get people prepared mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, because it's something that's outside of our normal realm of experience. Way, way, way back, it would have been normal. You would have known, as you're coming to 13 or 14 years of age, you would have known that your vision quest was coming, or your long night, whatever it was called. But we don't have that. So we need more prep. Our minds actually need quite a lot of prep. And so that happens in the days leading up. And then there's the 4 days out in the wilderness. And there's safety structures in place for people who need it and all of that. But you are essentially alone. And then there's days afterwards when you come back into camp where there's assistance and tools given to help you try and, I guess, glean the gold from your experience. So, yeah, there's a lot of care and a lot of safety and a lot of protection in place around your quest.
So, but when you're actually doing the quest itself, are you alone?
Yes.
Just you and the wilderness? Wow.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, we're just not used to, like, forget being in the wilderness. But I think even if you had to just be on your own in a quiet room with no distractions in the comfort of your home, we would struggle to do that, wouldn't we? Because we don't realize how we can't sit with ourselves and the quietness. I can't imagine doing that in the wilderness.
Was it a pleasant experience? Or was it scary? Or
look, everyone's experience is really different. And so I've since done the training, and I go back and I work on these vision quests with others now. So I've heard a lot of people, their experience of it. Often the fears going in are not the things that end up being challenging. So the fear going in might be aloneness, or are there going to be snakes in the wilderness, or hang on a minute, there's no food for 4 days. And the things that your mind gets busy with are usually not the things that are super challenging while you're there. It's literally, how can you sit with yourself when you don't have Netflix or food or a book or someone to fight with or some work, or like anything distracts us? But how can you actually just sit there and be with this, everything that's going on inside this being, and notice and be with that? That's the challenge, actually, is to be with who we are when we're not distracted.
And did you find yourself fighting it for a while? Was your ego coming in and fighting?
There's lots of ways to fight Vision Quest. Like, lots of jokes about it too. Like, you can get really involved in making little stick and leaf structures. You can count ants. There's ways that your mind will still try distraction. And so there's there's lots of talks given before quests to sort of be like, okay, so if you find yourself making like an adventure playground for the ants, that's distraction.
Oh my gosh.
Or sleeping through it, like just kind of going and sleeping kind of for hours and hours a day. That's avoiding the discomfort. Right?
Yeah.
We each do that. We each have different strategies for avoiding.
And so when you kind of when you yourself kind of got past any of those, the adventure playgrounds and distractions, are you happy to share kind of what you gained from doing that, like how you experienced being sat when you finally were able to just sit there with yourself, what you experienced from that?
Yeah, and it's not easy to put into sort of a linear description of what happened. It's like you're in a liminal space, and the literal definition of being liminal is outside of ordinary time and space. So you're definitely liminal in those spaces. For me, there was just a deeper sense of opening to my purpose. Like it was, for me, it was like a 4-day prayer. Yeah, those 4 days that you're out in your quest circle, you're definitely in an altered state, a liminal state. You're outside of ordinary time and space. That's like the literal dictionary definition of liminality. And so it can be tricky to sort of, I guess, give a deep diagnosis of what happened. And they say to also keep the most potent parts of your quest kind of private to yourself.
Yeah.
But having said all of that, for me, it felt like a 4-day prayer almost, like giving everything up in order to go, I want more for my life. And I'm willing to do this quite challenging thing to clear out anything that's in the way of me, like living my quest, living my purpose on the planet. And it was that. And so in the kind of, it still keeps unraveling now, but in the coming kind of days and weeks and months afterwards, there's a lot moving in terms of making sense of what happened. You know, it gets revealed over time. It's not like, oh, now I know what I'm going to do on the next day, but it's not as structured as that. It's a little more mysterious how it evolves in everybody's lives.
And I find that with all these kind of things, when you're channeling, when you go outside of that kind of time and space, like for me, I do QHHT, so past life regression sessions. And I know that when I do that for my clients, they have the experience there and then, but also it does keep unfolding in the days and weeks and months afterwards. These kind of experiences have that, don't they? And I think, again, as humans, we just want to have everything now, and we expect that the experience, we have to receive everything we're going to receive in that experience. And it has been my experience now that it's never really about the experience itself so much. That's just a small part of it. It is what unfolds afterwards, and the more you can lean into that, the more you will allow things to kind of come in, and you'll see it, and you can gain so much more from the aftermath of it as well.
And I think that speaks a little bit to that inner authority piece too. So if I went to you and you gave me like a very structured list of answers, and I went home and, you know, followed your guidebook, like I'm following your guidebook.
Yes.
Those experiences that keep unraveling and they take time to kind of brew, then it's really mine. It's like I've incubated that experience myself, and I've learned from it myself. And that's kind of the point. And I think it's very much a mind desire to have super clear, easy to digest answers. Like, don't leave me any mysteries. I just want to know. And actually the magic is out there in the mystery outside of knowing, but it can be uncomfortable to be in a space like that, you know. And I think culturally we're not kind of given a lot of those experiences. You know, our schooling is a certain way and things are structured in a certain way, but you know, humans weren't always taught that way. The style of mentorship that I do is, I guess it's a form of what's called coyote mentorship, which is not providing the answers. Actually, it's kind of providing the provocation and questioning, and the, oh, hang on a minute, what happens if we turn that thought and that concept you just had, let's turn that upside down. What happens then? So it's not spoon feeding anybody anything, but stirring the pot and shining the light in different angles so that somebody can work it out for themselves. What's true.
Yeah. I love that, and that's how I work, and that's why I love the hypnosis side of things, because I always say to people when they come, like, I'm not here to tell you the answers, I'm here to be a guide to help you get the answers from yourself. And by going into hypnosis, we access their subconscious mind, which has all the answers they'll ever need, and it only takes the one session that we do where we do that to help people realize, oh my gosh, I did have the answers within me all along. And then that forms that new belief. So then now all of a sudden, as they go forward, they step forward with that belief of, well, actually I do have the answers, it's just about learning to listen and get them in a different way. And then that just opens up the whole new world to people, doesn't it? You know,
well, we're not used to being told that, are we?
No.
It's like when Tash started saying that to me, you know, flipping it round to be, well, what's right for you? We're not taught to do that, are we? We're always told how to think, how to act. So I think that's really powerful, just being with somebody who teaches you how to shift that perspective onto yourself, and not to all the external.
Yeah, and doesn't give you the answers even if you're really, really keen for them to do that. Like, holds it too, even if it's uncomfortable, because sometimes there's training wheels, you know, that period of time before you start to get that. I definitely think that there's that piece of, yes, we haven't been taught to listen, like the deep listening has been unplugged along the way. And then the other piece is almost like, can I then hold myself with the truth? Like, I experience sometimes clients, they do know that they have to leave a relationship or sell a company or whatever. And they sit there in a session going, oh, I just don't know what to do. And, you know, it's this little foggy mechanism that comes in because the choice is quite a big one, right? Like, it's a big one, and it's going to have repercussions, and there's going to be difficult conversations, and so the mind goes, oh, let's just be a little bit ditzy about that and fog, and we don't know what to do. And so there are some processes where you can kind of bypass that a little bit and find the answers, the truth. And once you get there, people go, oh yeah, I clearly have to leave, or I clearly have, like, it's fine.
It is,
it's that simple, but it's not, is
it? That's the thing, isn't it? But and so in the work that you do when you're working with clients, do you have any practices that you do this kind of mentoring where you're shining lights for them, but do you have any actual practices? Is there any techniques that you use to help them do that as well?
Definitely, and it depends what each person needs at each time, but there is something that I do at the very beginning quite a bit when people are still learning to sort of be embodied and listen to the messages of their body and not just listen to the mind. And it's essentially a guided meditation, for want of a better word, that sort of came to me when I started this work, and I've recorded it. It's on SoundCloud so that people can listen to it without me and don't make me their guru. But it's very simple. It's actually super simple. And a lot of the more earth-based culture or shamanic nature-based practices are very simple. And it's a way of really coming into contact with exactly how it is to be in this body in this moment. And something happens when there's this deep inward focus. So eyes are closed, breath is in, awareness is on my body and in. And if I then start a dialogue with the client while they're in that space, they bypass a lot of the mind trying to figure stuff out. And sometimes they can just access this much kind of cleaner place of knowing.
Yeah.
That's very like the hypnosis, isn't it, that you do? Yeah, you're clear, making the way for the subconscious mind to come through where all the answers are. Yeah.
And you just have to be, you know, and so many people, or when they come to me, they've never actually just sat there and been quiet and realized how much clarity you can have when you just focus inwards just for a little bit, because they have nothing else to do but to, when they're in this chair, but to close their eyes and not think about anything. And obviously because they're doing it constantly with me, and they're hearing my voice when they go to sleep at night, they just come in, I just have to start speaking, and they're already in that state just by hearing my voice. And it's just, yeah, I just love people learning how and seeing how actually they have all the answers, and we have to stop asking the external sources what we should do. And you know, the amount of times, and I know you always say this, don't you, like it's like giving people permission to do what you to choose. Like
they need the permission, don't they?
You choose. Like, what do you want to do?
I know.
And then people are like, oh, it's my choice. Like, yeah, God, go for it, do what you want. But so I'm interested for you, how have you learned to connect into yourself and hear your intuition, hear your inner guidance? What are the kind of practices that you do to help you be able to do that? Because I know for me, you know, it's such a big journey. We break it down quite a lot, don't we, in the podcast? It's been such a journey to get to a place where I am able to, one, hear what I have to say, like my inner voice has to say, how to interpret it, how to distinguish between that inner voice and actually my fears and my ego and all the beliefs and the programming. How have you done that, and how do you continue to do that now so that you can really hear your wisdom from inside?
Yeah, good question. So I feel like everybody, even if it's the thread has been lost, I feel like everybody at some point has already had connection with the thread of truth for them. And as we sort of were saying before, it's not necessarily that relationship isn't fostered. You know, that kind of like, well, what's true for you? You know, kind of inconvenient, you know, if you're raising a family or whatever, to have a whole bunch of kids go, well, that's not true for me to do that or do this, or, you know, like it's not convenient, is it? So that relationship isn't fostered, generally speaking. So I feel like the thread of truth is there. I can remember distinct situations as a child where I just knew something and I knew it was off, or I knew it was what was being told to me was not my truth. But in terms of then losing that thread and going on a bit of a roundabout journey, one of the key things that has worked for me is embodiment practices that focus around dance and movement. So not dance as in classes, but places where you can move your body so that you make your outsides match your insides. Like you're moving your body in ways that express what you're feeling and sensing. And so it gives shapes and movement and breath and life to what's happening internally. And that's been probably one of the most constant practices of mine that's really kind of keeps taking me deeper.
Wow. And do you do that on your, like, just on your own? You go
I've done that on my own, but I also go, have you guys heard of 5 Rhythms? There's a
no.
Oh, you might like to go and check it out. So yeah, an amazing woman named Gabrielle Roth. She is no longer on the planet. She developed and birthed this beautiful body of work called 5 Rhythms. And there's 5 Rhythms teachers all around the world teaching in all different languages, and you can pretty much probably Google and find one near you. And it's basically a teaching of how to hold an open dance floor space so that people can use it to unlock the places in their system that they're maybe stuck, or there's frozen emotional material that they haven't, you know, digested yet, or there's latent anger or whatever it is. It's in the body. She developed a body of work to help people move through those spaces without talking, like you do in the music, right? So 5 Rhythms was, and there's others like it now, but 5 Rhythms is probably the most well known, and certainly the one that I first came into contact with a long time ago.
Oh, I'll have to check that out, because it's interesting, isn't it? Because I like a big part of my journey, the same with you, is we're learning to get back into my body, because I just disconnected from my body completely. I was very much up here. I wasn't connected at all, was I? And it was when I got in contact with my body that I realized, oh wow, it's like a messenger. This is everything. This is how our body just talks to us. And but I got into kind of the somatic healing as a real way to get into my body, and I found that really helpful, didn't I, when I started doing that. Just in terms of kind of like, you know, the yoga, the hip opening kind of stuff. But I mean, we used to go to dance classes, didn't we? So I've always loved dance. I've danced, you danced as a child. I've always loved dancing. And I love the idea of actually taking that kind of somatic movement, which sometimes it's nice to just lay there and stretch, but to actually have the high energy of the dancing as well as releasing the emotions. I love the sound of that. That sounds like fun.
Have to try that.
We'll have to look that up. Yeah,
it's amazing, and it's a total mystery. Like, we might have our mind's idea of how we're feeling on any given day, but you go and get on the dance floor where the space is intentionally held for that, and no one's watching you dance. You don't have to worry about your outfit. You're just doing you. And when you start unlocking and moving the body in the ways it wants to be moved, your mind might be wrong, actually, about what's swirling, you know, kind of in the underworld. So and I guess the other piece to me, just hearing you talk about that, you know, the mind, the body having all of the answers too. One of the pieces that was really strong and developed probably and really dropped in a few years ago was this strong sense of somatic consent. Like, my body now knows if something's a yes or a no. And I don't have to wonder why. I don't have to kind of go, oh, like, that's a no for me, but, you know, I'm just going to do it anyway. Or why? I don't have to know. Like, I've given that authority to my body to be like, okay, we're not doing that. And I'll back myself in that without having to understand. Sometimes you don't get understanding until later. You're like, oh, that's why I wasn't supposed to go to that thing or drive that. But in the moment, you don't know, but your body knows. So that deep attachment to my somatic yes or no is also part of what I teach.
And that's amazing that you teach that as well, because I just think for me that was an absolute game changer when I realized, I mean, I spent a good couple of years saying, I don't know what my body, like, I don't know what the yes is, I don't know what the no is, I don't know, and I'm trying to figure it out. And I was so patient, and I worked so hard.
It's so upset with you.
And then I just remember all of a sudden I was like, oh, I know I know what it is. I recognize it now. And I say all of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden. It was a journey. Like, I was doing that work all the way up to it, but I suppose one day it just felt like it clicked. And I've never gone back from it. And like you, I trust my body implicitly. I won't question it. And again, it took me a long time to be able to give that trust over and not be able to, you know, question, but why is it saying no? I'm just like, even now to this day, I'm always like saying, you've had too much time in the forefront, like, you've had too much clout, you got to step back now, like, it's time for this to come forward first, and you're very useful, but you have a place, and you listen to this now. So just take a break.
Demoting
and you know, it's easy to sit here and say it now. It's been a journey of years to get to that point, but once you get there, it's so freeing. It's so liberating and empowering, isn't it?
And it's actually easier.
It's
just easier to live like that.
It is.
But it can be a complicated journey to get there, because very often people have experienced lack of safety. Or having a strong yes or a no, or and that can show up in various ways. And it's also a strong conditioning for women to not necessarily, you know, really kind of own their desire for a yes or a no. You know, as little girls, there's different conditioning for girls as there is for boys. And so there's a lot of layers often to why somebody might sit in the, I just don't know what I want kind of energy. It can be a survival mechanism too.
100%. So sorry, carry on.
We sort of got to address the nervous system piece as well. It's not just, oh wow, I've discovered that I have an oracle attached to my neck. You've got to address the historical nervous system response to, it's not safe for me to say no.
100%. Again, that is, and that's what I was just gonna say. I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say about this safety piece, because I work with predominantly women, and a lot of the work that I do is based around this internal sense of safety that most of us don't have because of childhood. We never kind of, our nervous systems never learnt that safety, and I just think that is the foundation of so much. And I do a lot of work around trying to foster that internal safety, again because that was something that I really had to work on for myself, and when I realized that, it was a game changer for me. So how do you work with your women to help them develop that sense of safety in their nervous system, and then be able to take that forward?
It's actually not that dissimilar for men. I work with men and women. Some of the conditioning and experiences are different, but it's human experience to not necessarily be able to access safety. So one of the other processes I do is around, I guess, coming back to an empowered position of, yes, maybe prior experiences weren't safe for me. However, I can now find safety in my own body and come back to that as my anchor point. So everything I do, everything I record or create, or courses, offers, whatever, meditations, is always on the theme of, here's a tool so that you can do it for yourself now. And there is a way that you can start to retrain the nervous system into, okay, cool, my external world doesn't feel safe, I'm having a reaction to it, and it might be an old habitual nervous system response to a stimulus. And buying yourself a little bit of that window to make a different choice, starting to widen the gap between stimulus and reaction. And coming back to going, well, I've got a practice in my medicine kit, actually, and I just need to remember to do it. And that is a way that I can come back and find safety in my body and take responsibility for myself and do that, and then return to the argument with the partner or whatever it is, but taking self-responsibility to go, actually, I need to step out and regulate because I'm spinning. Can you give me 15 minutes and then I'll come back and we'll finish this conversation? That it's such it's kind of like self-responsible to go, I know what I need and I know how to give it to myself. Like that is, for me, that's power.
Yeah,
It's power.
it is.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on, isn't it? Just trying to take that responsibility back and not expect other people to make me feel a certain way. If I want to feel that way, I have to be it. And it's so powerful once you start tapping into that, and it works, doesn't it? You get results as soon as you really believe it.
There's an extra tricky piece with that too, Becky, where they expect the other person to know what they need without them saying anything. I'm not going to tell you what I need, but I expect you to work it out.
I mean, honestly, that was me. That I literally, and I think as well, when you're fairly like intuitive, empathic, just as a person, and because I think, like, speaking for myself, I always have been, so I've always been quite good at reading other people. Now, I'm not saying that I'm always right or I always know everything, but I am fairly good at reading other people. You just expect that other people can do that for you, and you're like, no, they can't. And even when you think you're doing that for other people, you don't always know as well, so you have to be careful with that. But yeah, that was like a massive thing that I had to learn. I always expected other people to know how I feel, and I never said anything. And I remember when I first started working on speaking up for myself and expressing my emotions, who knew when you tell people how you feel, they can actually respond and help you. And it's just, again, it's just so empowering, isn't it, when you realize, all I have to do is just understand how I'm feeling. And I think this is just a massive thing. And again, it's something really that I work with a lot. It's helping. We've become so disconnected from our feelings, haven't we? And again, it's linked to being disconnected from our body, of course, because our feelings are in our body. And we don't want to feel these uncomfortable feelings. And it's the whole safety thing again, isn't it? It's all linked, you know. So we do everything we can, the distractions and everything, so we don't have to feel these uncomfortable feelings. But actually, when you feel them, when you can sit with them, the fear dissipates fairly quickly, doesn't it? It's so uncomfortable, and you have to be on it to remember, oh yeah, no, don't run away, don't distract, sit back, get back in there. Then it's uncomfortable to feel it, but then all of a sudden you sit there and you just, it loses its grip on you, doesn't it? And then that's when the clarity comes in.
100%. And part of a mentorship with almost everybody, there's a degree of unpacking what they've stashed in the emotional basement, right?
Yes.
Analogies are so helpful, because people are like, oh yeah, I've totally like boxed that up and shoved it and then just closed the door. And there's power in going in there and unpacking all that shit. And as you say, feeling with it, being with it, not turning away from it because it's real, it was ours, and it wasn't fully digested at the time. But it's got a lot of power, negative power, while it sits in the basement. It takes a lot of energy to hold something down.
Yeah.
Move it through the body, be with it, all of those things. We have access to more power to move through our body. But people are very frightened of opening boxes of stored emotions in the basement. Often the biggest fear is that once they crack it open, it'll be overwhelming. It'll be too much and it'll never stop. And so there's ways to sort of drip feed, or, you know, kind of have sovereignty over how much you let come through your system at any given time. And then there's ways to sort of stay safe with that as well. But moving through the stored emotional stuff in the basement is so powerful. It's like cleaning house. Like it's really big. And I've seen people with that extra energy they have available then have like really big kind of leapfrogs in their life, in what they're here to do, because they've cleared out something that was really kind of holding a lot of energy.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? And I think when you then cleared it out, it become, I know for me this was definitely true. Once I started working on letting all of that out and clearing it all out, I then became so precious on not letting it fill back up. I worked so hard to do that. My main my main priority as I move through the day is feel the feelings, let them flow through you and let them out, because I do not want to be that pressure cooker of repressed emotions anymore. I won't do it. And everything is just easier when you let them flow through you, when you let them kind of just give them, again, it always comes back to giving yourself time, doesn't it? Just taking a breath.
And I think that's our natural state is, and particularly as women, is to have kind of what's happening in our emotional world just keep moving through, in and through. It's like weather. It's weather just moving through the system. And yes, we kind of haven't been in structures that are set up to be emotional when you want to be emotional. So we've developed great skills of parking things and not letting it be seen and not being vulnerable with it and all of those things. But whenever you meet somebody who's in that really dynamic moment to moment sort of relationship with life, for me, there's something really magnetic about someone who can be fully home in themselves, home in their body, and be in dynamic, current moment relationship with what they're feeling.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Like, you want to kind of get close to someone like that. There's a real aliveness.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, rare to find as well, isn't it? I'm trying to think of if there's anybody I know that, you know, that I feel that magnetic draw to, who lives like that. So
yeah, because he's just so vulnerable, isn't it? That, you know, we just don't want to be vulnerable. We're so scared of being vulnerable. But I remember when I learned that actually being vulnerable is the most powerful thing you can do, isn't it? Again, it is taking back that kind of inner sovereignty. When you lay all your cards on the table, when you have nothing, you know, to hide, there's power in that. There's immense power in that. And that, I found that really liberating as well. Because before that, I was very much, no, keep a brave face, stoic, I'm fine, no problems, don't worry, don't need any help, it's okay. And actually you're drowning with all these repressed emotions and unfulfilled needs, and it doesn't ever end well. No. It doesn't ever end well.
And I think too, at its essence, and this can sound a bit shocking to some people, at its essence, it's also not telling the truth.
Yes, I agree.
No.
And so whenever we're not telling the truth, there's a level of manipulation. In fact, our partners and close people and whoever it is that we're not revealing the bigness of what's going on for us.
Yeah.
Manipulation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do agree with you.
Been like that.
I know. We think we're doing the right thing, don't we? We think we're being strong and, you know, saving others from our pain and misery, but that's exactly what it is. We're not being honest, and we're manipulating. Yeah.
The other thing it takes, though, is a capacity to kind of stay with yourself in the intensity, and also to stay with yourself if the other person doesn't receive it well or whatever happens on the other side. And that's an art form that needs to be learned, because that's our greatest fear, is that we'll reveal something and that person won't love us anymore, or they won't be our friend or our lover or whoever anymore. And then, so that there is also that piece of going, okay, cool, if I know that I can hold myself no matter what, then there's also courage, you know, available in the vulnerability. There's this really cool little paragraph in Glennon Doyle's book. The name of the book has gone. Untamed. Have you read Untamed?
No.
You would love it. You guys would love it. Do you know who Glennon Doyle is?
No.
I don't think I've...
Okay, so you're going to need to read that. Anyway, yeah, it's a really great story. But anyway, there's this paragraph. I've taken a photo of this paragraph and sent it to almost every client along the way of the journey at some point. And she talks about how she'd left a marriage and, you know, she's kind of moving through all these pieces. And she got to this place where she was like, oh, it's me and me till death do us part.
Chills.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And she says, I will forsake all others' expectations of me before I forsake myself. I will disappoint everyone else before I will disappoint myself. It's just like, oh, so good. And reading that book and that line at the time that I read it, I did feel some peace drop in. It's like, oh, that's my, nothing else outside of me is my safety. Everyone can go. They can leave, or they can die, or a job can be lost, or a house can be sold. Like, all of those things can go. But if I know that I will never leave myself, no matter what, then I have safety.
Wow.
It's the only safety I can guarantee.
Yeah. And that is amazing. And I know, so I spent so long working on my kind of inner safety when I realized that was the key. And I know, like, when you say that, like, I remember, like, I'd get little tasters of that feeling, like, oh yeah, it's just me. It's me, and I've got this. And then it would kind of like drift away, and I'd lose it for a bit, and then I'd get another taste of it again. And it was just this constant kind of journey to grasping that feeling more and more, until it kind of stayed for longer and longer, and it lasted longer and longer. And it permeates every part of your life when you have that feeling, doesn't it? Because, you know, all of a sudden this whole fear of judgment that we have of other people, because like you said, really what it is actually is that we're worried that we're not going to be loved and we're going to be alone, and that's the safety part coming in, and the judgment and the need for validation. It's all just parts of that. But when you have that inner safety, all of that just fades away. And then that is what leads you to be able to be in your true, authentic self. And I think that is what, I mean, overall, that is what I try and do in my work with everything that I'm doing. And there's so many things. I want every single person to be free and feel safe to be their true, authentic self, because when you are that, you are the best version of you for everybody else in the world. And I just think if everybody lived as their true authentic self, everyone would be sharing their own amazing, incredible gifts that they came to, and it's just like, it would just be amazing. And that is why I wake up and I come in here and I do what I do every day, and it's like my mission to just be able to be my authentic self. And it's so, when you get to live like that, there's just nothing else like it. It's like a drug, isn't it? You feel untouchable, you feel that power, but at the same time, because I think sometimes power can be seen as this, you know, that kind of like patriarchal kind of like masculine power. It's a soft, loving, like compassionate power as well. So yeah, I just
yeah.
I get the same. I get so excited. It's like, how many people can we kind of awaken to, hey, this is cool, this is actually available to you to live from that place. And I agree, it's a soft power. It's not a power over anyone else. It's actually just, and it's also not, it's not like self-reliant in a way that, oh, I'm disconnected from others, I don't need anybody. It's not that. It's actually, it feels like a level of maturity. It's there's a gravitas that comes when you can kind of hold yourself, no matter what comes, that you've kind of, you're backing yourself. It's really special quality.
And like you said, it's the opposite of disconnection, isn't it? Because I feel like the more I step into feeling safe and comfortable to be who I truly am, the more you become magnetic to the people who are also feeling that way, and it becomes this like amazing, it's this community vibe, isn't it? It's like the connection, because you see, again, if you can attract people who are also being their authentic self, you then don't, though you know you have your own back and you can look after yourself, you also appreciate that other people can offer you help in a way that you can't do, in a different way, because they're being their best, and everything gets to help you. We get to help one another. We don't have to be alone. It's like a paradox. Everything about this is a paradox, isn't it? It's like, yes, you know, it's just you and you only need you and you have your safety, but also that opens you up to be able to receive everybody else and their gifts and their greatness. And
how we used to live. As Tamara was saying, with, you know, the rituals and it's bringing it back to that community.
Everyone had their role, with their gifts, and shared them.
This is what we got to get back to, isn't it? The dream.
One client at a time. They work all around the world.
I do feel it though. I feel like more people are definitely waking up to just like, do you know what, I've had enough. I've had enough of this conforming, and you know, I know we have a long way to go, but I definitely feel that people are getting braver to stand up and break free. I mean, and obviously, like, again, I was such a conformist. I was so like in this belief system and good girl and follow all the rules and don't break out of the rules, don't think for yourself. And I've done a complete 180 flip. Like I never thought I would.
No, you're a rebel, you are, aren't you? You're always telling me don't do that, do you want?
It's good, but not in a like fight the system kind of way, like not in an angry way, just in a,
if that's not right for you, don't do it. Find another way. Do something else.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not necessarily a fight the system person either. I feel like, I just don't. That's not the energy that comes with it. Actually, I have choices, and this is gonna do that.
I love that. Oh, Tamara, it's been awesome. Before we go, have you got anything like you would like our audience to just know, understand, or anything that you would like to leave them with to kind of move forward, to be able to step into their sovereignty and just to be able to trust themselves and their kind of inner wisdom?
I guess what I would say is that it is accessible to everybody. That it's not some kind of, kind of out of reach concept that's only for some people, or people braver than you, or whatever it is that you think. It is available. It's body based, it's earth based, like you have access. It's often just starting to want it badly, and start to kind of ask questions in your own way. Like, just, it's questions, like ask questions, and be willing to look underneath the things that you think are fixed, your beliefs or the reasons you do things the way you do them, or your survival strategies. Be willing to turn them upside down and go, well, is this still true for me? This survival strategy I developed when I was 7 and now I'm 42, is it still true for me? And be willing to go, it's actually no longer true. Oh shit, I don't know what is going to be true now, and that's scary. But so it takes courage, but it is available. It's available. It's not for somebody else other than you. It's available.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, and I totally agree with you. It's I say it's like my war cry, isn't it? Be curious. Everything starts with asking questions, because you ask one question, and if you're willing enough to be open, to be truly open, and you question it, that's when everything just explodes, isn't it? Because you question one thing, and then you're like, okay, so hang on a minute, if that's not true, or that, and that's when your world opens up into just a whole bigger place, and it's amazing, isn't it? And it's tough. It is tough, because that's what a belief is. A belief is something we just think is the absolute truth. But when you can go in with a mindset of you create your own truths, there are no one and done truths. They're only your truths. You have a whole bigger playing field, don't you?
Well, and I think it's good to acknowledge the scary part, because it is scary to kind of dismantle the structures that we've developed without necessarily knowing what's going to replace them. That needs to be done slowly. You can't just come in with a wrecking ball and kind of knock everything out.
No.
I read a book a long time ago, and it actually was an old book then. It's called The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. So now it's a very, very old book. And he talks about how from sort of birth till whatever point in time, we're collecting our experiences, and we're making meanings of our experiences, and we're writing our own map. And that's the map that we use of how to navigate the world. We think that that's the way the world works, is the map that we've drawn. And then there comes a time in your life, usually, and sometimes it's more than once this happens, where this map of reference that you've developed and spent years developing, and you're really attached to it because it helps you make sense, it stops working. You start hitting dead ends, and the strategies to get love and security and safety and money and whatever we need, approval, the strategies stop working. And it's really discombobulating. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I've always done that thing, and that's the result that I've got. And it starts a process of having to write a new map. And in the book, M. Scott Peck talks about, for a little while, you've got one foot on the old map that isn't working. You've got another foot on the new map that isn't finished yet. And that period is like, who even am I? Like, how does the world work? Who am I? Am I safe? Will I ever be okay ever again? Like, it's a literal point of transition that can happen multiple times in the course of a life. But it needs to be acknowledged that is a really uncomfortable, scary place to not have a fixed map of the world and have to sort of make a new one. It's generally speaking, that's where people are when they come to work with me. I would say, like, all genders, all ages, all everything that work with me. But that, what I would say, is the commonality, is that they're in this place of like, everything I thought was true is starting to crumble, and I don't know what's coming next.
Yeah, and that is, I remember being there. It is a scary place. It's so unsettling, isn't it? And from a subconscious mind point of view, you know, we always say, if you're going to remove something, if you're going to remove a belief from you have to have something in there to replace it with, because otherwise the subconscious will find something, and it's not going to be particularly what you would necessarily choose or helpful for your benefit. So that is such a good point that you bring up, that when you're when you're in that place of questioning your beliefs and breaking those beliefs down, it's really good to ensure, I think, as much as you can, that you surround yourself with positive, uplifting beliefs that, again, might feel a bit like out there to you or wishful thinking, but that's what you want to be absorbing, replacing with. But the great thing is, again, and coming back to this empowerment thing, is you get to choose. You didn't get to choose your beliefs when you were a child. You were wherever you landed, whatever you kind of stepped into, that's your beliefs. But now when you get to that scary point, when it feels like that, just remember that's the time that you get to choose. So choose wisely and choose what makes you feel good, even if it feels delusional. And I can't stress this enough. It's gonna feel delusional. It's gonna feel like people are gonna think I've lost my mind and I'm living in cloud cuckoo land. Just choose them. Choose them as long as they feel good. And then it comes again full circle, comes back to listening to your body. If it feels good in your body, if it gives you that expansive feeling, if it gives you the goosebumps, that's the one for you. If it feels contracting, if it makes you feel kind of heavy, it's probably not the one you want to be replacing it with.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah. Well, it's been amazing. Tamara, can you just tell people where they can find you if they want to come and look for you on social media?
So on Instagram, I'm Tamara the Brave, and my website is tamarathebrave.com. So they're the two places. I also have just started a Substack, which is really fun, and that's called The Wildlight Reckoning.
Awesome. Okay, I'll put all the details in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a cool conversation. Right. So we will see you guys next time for another episode. Take care.
Bye.